Under fluorescent lights, the scanner beeps steady and hollow, the sound echoing across aisles lined with canned goods and cereal boxes. Sarah moves with quiet precision, her hands steady, her face calm, but her eyes hold something deeper. Customers shift impatiently, their bags crinkle with every touch, their sighs heavy like judgment. Teenagers whisper behind her, their laughter sharp, cutting through the hum of the store. Jake leans close enough for others to hear his words, aimed like a knife. You should have aimed higher in life. Sarah, scanning cans, isn't much of a career. Her fingers never falter across the register. Her breath measured, her silence louder than his insult. The camera of life lingers on her face, expression unreadable. Yet strong beneath the surface she sees the contempt in their eyes, but they do not see her history, they do not see the scars she carries within. Every beep of the scanner feels like a metronome, counting not groceries but memories, memories of desert winds and the crackle of radio static, memories of dust storms, swallowing vision, whole memories of orders barked over the chaos of gunfire. Her body moves through this store, yet her mind drifts far back to the desert heat, the sting of sweat rolling beneath Kevlar, the rattle of an M4 across her chest, the sharp metallic taste of fear and adrenaline mixed together. She hears it again, rotor blades chopping the sky, a Black Hawk hovering low, radio voices sharp and coded. Contact east, contact east. Hold the line, she remembers, crouching low, dirt pressed against her cheeks, sand filling, her teeth, her heart hammering like artillery. Her hands steady then, as they are now, calm under fire, calm under ridicule. The customers only see a cashier, they do not know Sergeant Sarah Blake, they do not know the convoy ambushed outside Fallujah, the sudden blast that turned metal into fire. They do not know the screams overcomes wounded calling for medics, they do not know how she dragged Corporal Mason across open ground rounds, sparking dirt inches from her face. Her knees tore against gravel, her back strained, but she never stopped. She remembers the grip of his hand slipping, and her whisper, "Don't you dare quit on me, soldier, we are going home back." In the store, a receipt prints in tears. With a snap, the sound jolts her, but her face does not change. Jake smirks, shaking his head, unaware of what his words attempt to belittle. Behind his casual insult is ignorance thick as armor he never heard. The whistle of incoming mortar rounds, never tasted dust mixed with blood, never felt the heat of burning metal searing the air. Sarah has lived two lives, one in uniform, where life and death balanced on seconds, one in this store, where the world thinks she is invisible. Her inner voice whispers steady like command, calm. Sarah, calm, they see only surface, let them. She knows strength is not measured by their sneers. Strength is in carrying weight silently, in holding lines no one thanks you for, in leading soldiers through fire when others break. She remembers her CO's voice echoing through radio. Static, Sergeant Blake, hold position, reinforced flank. She remembers answering with clarity. Roger, that, holding line, all while bullets chipped concrete above her head. She became stone, unmovable shield for the squad. A child at the counter interrupts memory. A small boy holding a toy car, eyes bright with wonder. He smiles at Sarah as she scans items. His innocence pierces the gray atmosphere. For a moment she sees the reason behind endurance, why she carried Mason, why she stayed in the fight, not for glory but for life itself. The boy waves shyly, Sarah's lips curve into the smallest smile. Barely noticeable, yet it changes everything. For the first time in this store, someone looks at her not as invisible but as present. The manager shouts across aisles. Sarah, pick up pace, lines getting long. His voice harsh, sharp, the crowd shifts. Restless, her heartbeat quickens, but not from fear. She has faced harsher voices from officers demanding decisions in seconds. She has made life or death calls, while smoke blinded vision, while explosions shook earth under boots. Compared to that, this store is quiet. Compared to that, these voices are whispers. She steadies breath and continues scanning. Her thoughts flicker again to the desert. Gunfire cracks in her memory ears, ringing the metallic sting of shrapnel, biting into ground around her. Mason's blood, dark against sand, radio spitting. Panic, multiple units requesting immediate support. She remembers kneeling, one knee down. M4 braced against shoulder, voice steady through. Comes Eagle 1, this is Delta 6 suppressing fire. South flank, need medevac, over. She pulled trigger, again. And again, controlled bursts, precise, methodical, not rage but discipline. Each round buying seconds, each second a heartbeat saved day. Ken rolls across conveyor and clatters loud, snapping her back. Jake laughs under his breath, shaking his head. Sarah keeps her silence, but her mind sharpens. She knows ridicule is easy for those who never carried weight. She knows truth hides beneath the quiet, just as strength hides in her stillness. The world may dismiss her, but memory holds her victories. Memory holds Mason alive because she refused to let go. Memory holds her squad standing because she would not fall. Her shift ticks on minute by minute. Every insult, every sigh, every sneer layers like dust on armor, yet inside her chest burns steady fire, not extinguished. Not forgotten, she was forged in heat far greater than this. She can endure, she always endures. Dust rises thick in the air, grit stings her teeth, rotor blades fade into the distance, and Staff Sergeant Sarah Blake pulls the strap of her aid bag tighter. Across her shoulder the streets of Kandahar boil with chaos, bursts of AK firehammer from rooftops, rounds tearing into mud brick walls. Her squad leader, Captain Harris, goes down hard in the dirt, blood pumping from his leg, crimson spreading across tan uniform. The squad hits, cover voices shouting over each other, incoming contact. 9 o'clock, suppressing fire, Sarah drops. Low heart-pounding palms, slick with sweat, rifle slung tight, she scrambles across open ground, bullets snapping so close, she feels their heat. She presses to Harris, assessing wound, arterial blood spraying her gloves sticky with it. She applies tourniquet fast, cinching hard. Harris groans, jaw tight. She shouts over the chaos, "Stay with me, sir, stay with me." Radio chatter crackling in her ear. Delta 6, we are pinned. Need medevac. Grid 29, Echo 5. Roger, stand by her. Sideburns, sharp pain tearing through ribs, where shrapnel cut deep, but she ignores it. Adrenaline takes over hands, steady breath. Sharp focus, she drags Harris toward partial cover rounds, slamming dirt inches away. Every pull feels heavier than the last, but she refuses to stop. Her boots dig into ground, body straining. Harris fading in and out. Sarah's inner voice screams, "Not here, not today. I will not let him die." She braces, rifle in one hand, fires short bursts to keep enemy heads down, then keeps dragging. The squad pours fire over rooftops. M4S, barking loud, empty casings, clattering against stone. Sarah's world narrows. To Harris, his weight presses against her shoulder, his breath ragged. She hears him whisper, barely audible, "Leave me, Blake, get out." She snarls through grit. "Negative, sir, you are not dying here." She feels impact on her vest rounds, smacking hard, knocking air from her chest, but armor holds. She stumbles, keeps moving. Harris slipping, but she pulls hard. RDO bursts loud, "Eagle 1, this is Delta 6 squad leader down, requests urgent extraction now." Gunfire drowns response. RPG slams, nearby explosion. Rocks, earth, dirt, blinds, her ears ringing. She shakes head, vision blurred, pulls Harris tighter. His blood soaks her uniform. She drags him behind a broken wall, panting, chest heaving. She rips open field kit, pushes clotting agent into wound wraps, bandage tight. Harris groans, eyes rolling. "Stay with me, sir, stay awake." She slaps his face gently, focus. Squad shouts, cover fire, muzzle flashes, light up smoke. Sarah feels every nerve burn, but her mind stays locked. Nothing matters except Harris. Breathing a burst from her M4 returns, fire controlled and precise. She is a medic, but she is also a soldier. She checks Harris' pulse, weak, but present. Relief rushes, then fades, replaced by urgency. She keys radio again, voice steady, despite chaos. Delta 6 marking smoke green for extraction. Do you copy? Copy. Green smoke in sight, inbound, 2 minutes, hold position. The sound of rotors builds faint, but growing. Sarah grips Harris tighter, looks to squad fire discipline, maintain perimeter. She feels tremor in her arm, shrapnel wound, bleeding heavier now, but she refuses to falter. Each second is weight dragging her lower, but pride keeps her upright. She remembers her oath, no man left behind. She drags Harris again out of wall cover toward open. Clearing, smoke billows green above, dust rising around rotor wash. Slams down, deafening bird lands. Hard side door open, crew chief waving. Get them in, squad lays. Suppressive fire, heavy thunder, M240 hammering. Sarah pulls Harris up last. Reserves of strength, screaming muscles tearing. She throws him into bird climbs. After rounds, slicing air inches away. Crew pulls Harris and Sarah collapsing beside him. Vision tunneling, crew chief yells, "You hit." She shakes head, breath ragged. He is priority. Harris breathes shallow, but alive. She grabs his hand, whispers, "You are not leaving me, sir, not today." Blackhawk lifts. Kandahar shrinking below tracers. Streaking night, her gloves drenched. Crimson. Harris still alive because she refused to stop. Her chest burns wound, screaming, body shaking, but her mind steady, calm. She leans back against bulkhead, closes eyes for one breath. The squad alive, Harris alive, that is all that matters. Crew medic moves in, treating both of them, but Sarah fades. Not from fear, but exhaustion. Her last thought before blackness is simple: hold line, hold life. Later they will pin a bronze star to her chest. Later they will speak her name in ceremonies, but in this moment the medal means nothing. She did not act for glory. She acted because she is a soldier, because her oath is her anchor, because leaving Harris behind was never an option. The audience sees now the truth. The bronze star is not decoration. It is blood, grit, sacrifice, carved into her very being. Rotors fade into darkness. The scene lingers, not on the medal, but on Sarah's face, pale and worn, her eyes opening weakly on the flight. Harris breathing beside her. She knows war will never leave her. She knows scars will outlast medals, but she also knows something greater. The fight inside her never dies in, just as she fades again. A voice crackles through, comes urgent, coded, new orders waiting. The war is not finished for Sarah Blake, and what waits beyond Kandahar will test her even further. Jake leans against the conveyor belt, loud enough for the entire line to hear his words. Sharp like a bayonet, cutting through silence. Private price check. He sneers his friends, chuckling behind him, their laughter echoing through the aisle. Customers glance sideways, curious, some smirking, some shaking heads. Sarah scans items, her hands steadyface.com, but inside her pulse quickens. She keeps her eyes fixed on the register, refusing to give them satisfaction, refusing to let old instincts rise, though every insult feels like incoming fire. Jake taps his soda can on the belt, a rhythm of mockery, his voice rising. "Hey private, you gonna salute me, or just bag the bread?" His friends burst into laughter, one slapping the other on the back. Sarah keeps scanning, beep after beat, rhythm unbroken, but her chest tightens like the squeeze of body armor before a firefight. She can hear the whispers from shoppers, the judgment in their eyes believing. Jake's words believing she is just another invisible worker, invisible soldier. The manager, Brewer, appears. Heavy steps, sharp voice, cutting. Sarah, price checks are piling up. You are slowing the line, he says. Customers waiting. You need to be faster. His tone holds no patience, no respect. He does not look at Jake or his friends. He looks only at Sarah, as if she is the problem. Sarah feels heat in her cheeks, not from shame but from anger, controlled and buried. She hears his voice echo like an officer who never knew the field, who never faced fire, yet barked orders as if authority made him. Strong memories collide with present flashes of radio static. Delta 6, we are taking fire. Hold line. Flashes of dragging Harris through blood and sand, flashes of rotor blades pounding air. She blinks, steadying her breath. One world demands silence, the other demanded action. She survived both. Yet now she stands accused in front of strangers. Her chest rises slow, her hands continue scanning, beep beep, never faltering. She will not let them see weakness, not here, not now. Then a softer voice breaks the tension. Maria, a co-worker with tired eyes but a kind smile, steps closer. She lifts bags for Sarah. Quietly, without orders, without mockery, she looks at Sarah with respect, not pity. She has watched silently from distance for weeks, noticing Sarah's discipline, her calm, her refusal to crack. Maria does not know Sarah's story, but something tells her there is more beneath the surface. She places a hand on the counter, gently says, I will help you finish this, Ellen. Jake scoffs, rolling his eyes. What is this teamwork day, he mutters. Low enough for his friends, but loud enough for Sarah to hear. Bet you were never even good at real teamwork, Private. Sarah ignores him, but her heart pounds harder. She remembers her squad, her brothers, her sisters, the way they covered each other. Through fire, no man left behind. She remembers Mason's blood on her gloves, Harris's fading breath. She remembers holding line against chaos when everything screamed to fall back. That was teamwork. That was life and death, not groceries, not aisles. Brewer shakes his head, frustrated. Sarah, you need to listen. This is the last warning. He turns away, muttering about efficiency. Sarah stays silent, jaw tight. Her inner voice whispers, hold line, soldier. She feels Maria beside her, moving bags quickly, efficient. A quiet act of defiance against ridicule. Maria glances once more at Sarah, and in her eyes is not judgment but recognition, not of who Sarah was, but of the quiet strength she carries. Still the laughter fades, the line clears, but the damage lingers. Sarah feels the weight of their sneers, heavier than body armor, yet she stands tall even in silence. Her scars invisible beneath a uniform of cashier, not camouflage, yet the same discipline burns within. Her hands move with precision, her breath steady. She does not answer insults with words, she answers with unbroken resolve, but inside a storm brews, she wonders how long she can endure this. How long before truth rips through their ignorance like tracer fire through darkness. The bronze star tucked away is not just metal, it is testimony to grit, to blood, to nights where death pressed close, but she refused to yield. They will learn one day, but not today. Today she remains silent. As shift nears end, Maria lingers beside her, lowering her voice. I don't know what you have been through, but I know strength when I see it. You do not deserve the way they treat you. Sarah looks at her for first time, truly meeting her eyes. A flicker passes between them, unspoken but real. Maria steps back, leaving Sarah with thought heavier than insult. Maybe someone finally sees. Maybe silence will not last forever. Yet before relief settles, Brewer's voice booms again. Sarah, office now, customers still around, ears open. Sarah stiffens, breath sharp, she follows Brewer down aisle, Jake smirking behind her. His words chase her like gunfire. See you later, Private. Price check. Sarah walk steady, each step like march into unknown, not knowing what waits but refusing to bend. The chapter closes not in resolution, but in tension heavy as smoke. The question hangs unspoken. How long before truth breaks through, and when it does, what will happen to those who mocked her? The hum of fluorescent lights, masks, the low murmur of customers' carts rolling across tile, voices blending into background noise. Sarah stands at her register, eyes steady, but her focus drifts not to groceries but to the men. 3 of them spread across aisles. They move with rhythm, too deliberate, too aware. One checks the ceiling cameras. Another lingers near the exit, pretending to study a rack of chips. The third pushes an empty basket, but his eyes never stop scanning. Their clothes hang loose, sleeves, heavy unnatural bulges hidden beneath fabric. Sarah's pulse quickens. She has seen this dance before. Her training kicks in, instincts sharpen her gaze. Locks on the angle of their shoulders, the way they pivot toward each other without speaking, the way their eyes sweep corners. Like clearing a room, it is textbook tactical behavior. Aisle 5 is not a battlefield, yet every detail screams threat. She swallows breath. Steady memories crashing back. Kandahar patrol, ice sweeping rooftops just like there's only seconds before ambush, dust in lungs, heart hammering, radio static warning. Too late now, the same energy crawls under her skin. Sarah wipes a bead of sweat from her brow. Though the store air is cool, her palms grow damp. She knows danger when she sees it. She steps from behind counter, approaches Brewer, who stands near produce, clipboard in hand, oblivious. She lowers her voice, but her tone sharp like command. We have a problem, those men. Aisle 5, watch how they move. They are casing the place. Brewer barely looks up from his notes, his smirk dismissive. Sarah, this is a grocery store, not Fallujah. Relax. His words slam into her sharper than enemy fire. Her jaw tightens, she fights urge to snap back. He does not understand, cannot understand. The complacency stings worse than his dismissal because she knows time matters now. Seconds lost can mean lives lost. She glances back and sees the man by the chips glance at exits again. Eyes cold, calculating. She feels it deep in her gut the same way she felt mortar round seconds before. Impact instinct screaming danger imminent. Size waving a hand. Sarah, you worry too much. Finish your lane. Focus on customers. He walks away, shaking his head, clipboard tapping against his leg. His ignorance heavy, his confidence false. Sarah clenches fists, nails digging into palms. She wants to shout, wants to make him see, but shouting will not help. She breathes deep, mind racing. Always trust the gut. The battlefield taught her hesitation kills. Yet here she is, boxed in between duty and disbelief. Maria passes with a stack of bags, notices Sarah's pale face. You all right, Sarah? Sarah forces a nod, eyes still locked on aisle 5. Maria follows her gaze, confusion crossing her features. She sees nothing unusual, just shoppers milling about. But Sarah knows the difference. She whispers more to herself than to anyone else. This is not right, not normal, not today. The air feels thicker, pressure mounting, every sound amplified. The squeak of cartwheels, the crinkle of bags, every detail too sharp like senses. Preparing for fight, the man with empty basket adjusts his sleeve. Sarah catches the motion, a glimpse of black metal tucked beneath fabric. Heart rate spikes, breath shallow. The world narrows around that detail gun. A flash of memory slams her chest. Captain Harris down in dirt, blood pumping from leg. Her dragging him through fire. Shouts over radio, contact east. Suppressing fire, hold the line. She hears echoes overlapping reality. Heart pounding, ears ringing, as if Kandahar has bled into this grocery aisle. She straightens. Posture soldier once more. Eyes scan exits, calculating distance, cover angles. Her register is useless, her training is everything. Her mind maps terrain quickly. Aisle 5 provides concealment. Freezer section offers reflection to monitor movement. Emergency exit left corner, blocked with crates. She considers options. No weapon, no vest, just instincts and discipline. Her chest burns, but voice remains steady when she leans to Maria. Go get the manager. Tell him now. Maria hesitates, then nods, hurrying off, but Sarah knows Brewer will not listen. He already dismissed her. Her thoughts sharpen, strategy forming. She cannot rely on them. She must rely on herself again, just like desert nights under tracer fire, just like pulling Mason across blood-soaked dirt. One decision, one act can decide survival. She watches as the 3 men converge slowly, subtle but clear. One near registers, another drifting toward pharmacy, the third near doors, boxing positions, closing net. The realization slams cold into her gut. They are about to move. Her throat tightens, but her face stays calm to anyone watching. She is just another cashier scanning groceries, but inside adrenaline surges a storm. Waiting for first strike, she knows violence when it breathes near, and now it breathes heavy in aisle 5. The question is not if, but when. Brewer reappears, annoyed. What is it now, Sarah? She looks at him, eyes hard, voice flat but resolute. This is going to go bad any second. His smirk falters for a split second, but he shakes head, still defiant. You are imagining things. He turns away again, muttering. She stares at his back. Rage and fear colliding. The audience feels it, to the manager blind. The soldier's instincts alive, the trap closing faster than anyone realizes. The chapter ends with Sarah's eyes locked on the man by the exit. His hand slips beneath his jacket. Slow, deliberate. Customers chatter. Unaware bags rustle, carts roll. The world continues in ignorance, but Sarah sees the truth. She whispers under breath, almost prayer. Hold line, soldier, hold line. And then the man's hand closes on what is hidden. Darkness sharpens tension, and the screen of story fades on the brink of ruption. The question pounds in the air. What happens when the war Sarah thought she left behind crashes full force into aisle 5? First shot cracks through the store, and glass rains down from an end-cap display. Voices explode in panic, bodies scatter, and Sarah feels the familiar rush of adrenaline slam into her chest. Her instincts kick before thought can even form. She pulls 2 civilians down with her behind the aisle, shelving her voice low and sharp. Stay low. Crawl to the end cap and hold there, she whispers, her eyes scanning angles like a battlefield map. Brewer hits the floor hard, the tile cold against his cheek. Jake beside him, forced down by the barrel of a pistol. Humiliation burns hotter than fear. He can hear the robbers' boots scrape across the slick linoleum, hear the trembling sobs of a woman clutching her child. Just a few feet away, the smell of cordite already hanging heavy in the air. Rat peeks out one eye, calculating line of sight. 3 robbers, one holding a shotgun leveled at the registers, another pacing near the entrance. The third barking orders in a voice ragged and wired with adrenaline. She notes their stances. Their spacing, their sloppy weapon handling, mistakes that could get civilians killed. In seconds, her heart hammers, but her breathing stays. Steady training, anchoring every move. The robber closest to Brewer shoves the muzzle down against his neck. The cold steel bites into his skin. Move, and I'll put you down right here, the man growls. Jake flinches, wanting to lunge, wanting to fight, but Sarah's voice threads through the chaos. Hold still, let them focus elsewhere, she knows. A premature move means blood on the floor. Another scream cuts the air. A young cashier dragged forward by her hair, her shoes slipping on broken glass. The shotgun wielder presses the barrel under her chin. You think we're playing, he yells, his voice cracking with the sound of desperation. Everyone down now or she dies. Brewer's hands curl into fists. Rage boiling under his helplessness. The humiliation of being pinned, the fury of watching innocents terrorized. Sarah moves to shoppers quietly behind the shelf, guiding them with soft pressure on their shoulders. Crawl slow, stay flat, keep your head down. Her mind races, options narrow but not gone. Her thoughts flicker to her unit, her training, every after-action review, every lesson drilled until it lived in her bones. Chaos is just a puzzle if you keep your head static. Bursts inside her memory. Ghost-like echoes of radio chatter. Contact front 3 o'clock moving. She swallows it down, grounding herself in the present moment. In the fluorescent hum overhead, the pounding of blood in her ears. The leader snaps at his crew. Grab the registers. Load the bags, we've got 2 minutes tops. The pacing one kicks over a rack, sending chips and candy spraying across the floor. The sound, sharp like shrapnel. Brewer closes his eyes, inhaling through his nose, trying to steady himself. He remembers the sand of Afghanistan, the taste of dust in his mouth, the times he had cover fire and men at his back. Now he has nothing but a floor beneath him, and the weight of helpless civilians around him. Sarah signals with her hand, subtle low fingers curling toward her chest. She locks eyes with Brewer. Then Jake, the smallest nod, communication older than words. Brewer breathes deep, the humiliation still burning but now focused, turned to something sharper. Sarah's calm presence cuts through the panic. If she's calculating a move, then they are not alone, they are not finished. That robber at the door shifts his grip, finger twitching on the trigger. Nerves fraying with every second. The leader yells again, hurry it up, we're exposed. Sarah leans in, whispering to the woman crouched beside her, when I move you run left through the snack. I'll keep your child against your chest. Do not stop no matter what her whisper is. Steady as a promise, her heart a hammer beneath steel ribs. Jake watches the scene, his thoughts torn between rage and strategy, every nerve screaming to act. He feels the sweat trickle down his back, the cold tile pressing against his palms. He remembers Sarah in training, calm under fire, eyes always scanning, calculating. She sees something he does not yet see, and that thought anchors him. The register drawer slams open, coins scatter ringing across the floor. The leader barks, shove it all in fast. The shotgun man jerks his hostage forward, dragging her toward the exit, his grip too tight, too desperate, and that desperation is a weakness. Sarah notes it, catalogs it, her muscles coil tight, a spring waiting. Brewer exhales slowly, humiliation fading, replaced by raw clarity. He is on the floor now, but he will not stay here forever. He meets Sarah's eyes again, and in that silent exchange he knows the moment is coming, the contact has begun, and once it starts, there is no turning back. The leader glances at the front windows, panic flashing as sirens wail. Faint in the distance, the sound growing closer every second. His eyes widen. He screams, move now, grab them, and let's go. And in that instant, chaos surges. Sarah shifts, weight forward, her body ready, her mind clear. Every civilian around her, looking for salvation without knowing it, rests in the hands of one trained soldier. Breathing steady behind a shelf. A moment, fractures like glass about to shatter, and the next move will decide who walks out alive. Under the flickering light, Sarah steps out from the shadows with the steady resolve of someone who has walked battlefields before her body moves, before her mind can catch up, instincts taking over as the muzzle of the pistol jerks toward the trembling child. She places herself between the barrel and the boy, her breath slow, her eyes sharp, her voice a steady line cutting through the chaos. She tells the gunman to look at her, not at the kid. The sound of her tone, calm but commanding like a field order, snaps his focus to her. Robber blinks, sweat running down his temple, hand twitching the weapon, shaking. The child whimpers, clutching the hem of Sarah's jacket. She can feel his small fingers gripping her side like a lifeline. Her voice sharpens without raising volume, a tone she once used in desert firefights. When men froze under fire, she calls the robber by what she sees, a scared man with too much adrenaline, his eyes wide in confusion, breaking through rage in her head. The walls fade, the air thickens with dust and the crack of rifles. She is back in Afghanistan, the dry heat searing her lungs, radio chatter filling her ears. Alpha 2 down, need extraction now. Gunfire ripping into walls, stone shards spraying her face, a young private bleeding out, screaming. He does not want to die. Sarah throws herself forward, crawling low, rounds snapping past her helmet, her hands pressing into crimson-soaked fabric, the smell of copper, heavy, the roar of a 50 cal thundering nearby. She remembers yelling into the radio, requesting immediate medevac contact, east 40 meters. Heavy small arms, fire command voice, steady, even as bullets chew the dirt around her boots. The private gasping, eyes wide with terror, her tone calm and absolute, telling him he will not die today because she will not let him die. Her body dragging him through the dust, weight tearing at her shoulders. Back straining every inch toward cover, her memory collides with the present, the robber standing inches away, pistol trembling. The same fear mirrored in his eyes. Sarah steadies her breath, her stance squared, her shoulders unyielding. She orders him again, look at me, listen to me. She tells him his choices are narrowing. He thinks he has power, but she frames it like a field engagement. 2 paths, extraction or elimination. His chest heaves. The barrel dips for half a second. The boy hides behind her leg. Sarah's hands spread slightly protective, yet ready, her heart beats steady like it once was. Under fire, she studies the robbers. Eyes calculating, reading his tremor, the same way she once judged enemy fighters by the twitch of their trigger fingers. She sees desperation, not resolve, his hand not trained, his nerves cracked. Another scream cuts the air, a young cashier dragged forward by her hair, her shoes slipping on broken glass. The shotgun wielder presses the barrel under her chin. "You think we're playing?" he yells, his voice cracking with the sound of desperation. "Everyone down now, or she dies." Brewer's hands curl into fists, rage boiling under his helplessness, the humiliation of being pinned, the fury of watching innocence. Terrorized, Sarah moves to shoppers quietly behind the shelf, guiding them with soft pressure on their shoulders. "Crawl slow, stay flat, keep your head down." Her mind races options. Narrow but not gone, her thoughts flicker to her unit, her training, every after-action review, every lesson drilled until it lived in her bones. Chaos is just a puzzle if you keep your head static, bursts inside her memory, ghost-like echoes of radio. Chatter, contact, front 3-0, clock moving. She swallows it down, grounding herself in the present moment. In the fluorescent hum overhead, the pounding of blood in her ears, the leader snaps at his crew, "Grab the registers, load the bags, we've got 2 minutes tops." The pacing, one kicks over a rack, sending chips and candy spraying across the floor. The sound, sharp like shrapnel. Brewer closes his eyes, inhaling through his nose, trying to steady himself. He remembers the sand of Afghanistan, the taste of dust in his mouth, the times he had cover fire and men at his back. Now he has nothing but a floor beneath him and the weight of helpless civilians around him. Sarah signals with her hand, subtle low fingers curling toward her chest. She locks eyes with Brewer, then Jake, the smallest nod communication, older than words. Brewer breathes deep, the humiliation still burning but now focused. Turned to something sharper, Sarah's calm presence cuts through the panic. If she's calculating a move, then they are not alone, they are not finished. The robber at the door shifts his grip, finger twitching on the trigger, nerves fraying with every second. The leader yells again, "Hurry it up, we're exposed." Sarah leans in, whispering to the woman crouched beside her, "When I move, you run left through the snack. I'll keep your child against your chest. Do not stop, no matter what." Her whisper is steady as a promise, her heart a hammer beneath steel ribs. Jake watches the scene, his thoughts torn between rage and strategy, every nerve screaming to act. He feels the sweat trickle down his back, the cold tile pressing against his palms. He remembers Sarah and training.com, under fire, eyes always scanning, calculating. She sees something he does not yet see, and that thought anchors him. The register drawer slams open, coins scatter ringing across the floor. The leader barks, "Shove it all in fast." Fast. The shotgun man jerks his hostage forward, dragging her toward the exit, his grip too tight, too desperate, and that desperation is a weakness. Sarah notes it, catalogs it, her muscles coiled tight, a spring waiting. Brewer exhales slowly, humiliation fading, replaced by raw clarity. He is on the floor now, but he will not stay here forever. He meets Sarah's eyes again, and in that silent exchange, he knows the moment is coming, the contact has begun, and once it starts, there is no turning back. Leader glances at the front windows, panic flashing as sirens wail faint in the distance, the sound growing closer every second. His eyes widen, he screams, "Move now, grab them and let's go." And in that instant chaos surges. Sarah shifts weight forward, her body ready, her mind clear. Every civilian around her looking for salvation without knowing it rests in the hands of one trained soldier, breathing steady behind a shelf. The moment fractures like glass about to shatter, and the next move will decide who walks out alive under the flickering light. Sarah steps out from the shadows with the steady resolve of someone who has walked battlefields before. Her body moves before her mind can catch up, instincts taking over as the muzzle of the pistol jerks toward the trembling child. She places herself between the barrel and the boy, her breath slow, her eyes sharp, her voice a steady line cutting through the chaos. She tells the gunman to look at her, not at the kid. The sound of her tone, calm but commanding, like a field order, snaps his focus to her. The robber blinks, sweat running down his temple, hand twitching the weapon, shaking. The child whimpers, clutching the hem of Sarah's jacket. She can feel his small fingers gripping her side like a lifeline. Her voice sharpens without raising volume, a tone she once used in desert fights. When men froze under fire, she calls the robber by what she sees, a scared man with too much adrenaline. His eyes widened, confusion breaking through. Raja in her head, the walls fade, the air thickens with dust, and the crack of rifles. She is back in Afghanistan, the dry heat searing her lungs. Radio chatter filling her ears. Alpha 2 down, need extraction now. Gunfire ripping into walls, stone shards spraying her face. A young private bleeding out, screaming he does not want to die. Sarah throws herself forward, crawling low, rounds snapping past her helmet, her hands pressing into crimson-soaked fabric, the smell of copper heavy, the roar of a Cal thundering near. Boucher remembers yelling into the radio, requesting immediate medevac contact east 40 meters. Heavy small arms fire, command voice steady even as bullets chew the dirt around her boots. The private gasping, eyes wide with terror. Her tone calm and absolute, telling him he will not die today because she will not let him die. Her body dragging him through the dust, weight tearing at her shoulders, back straining every inch toward cover. Her memory collides with the present, the robber standing inches away, pistol trembling, the same fear mirrored in his eyes. Sarah steadies her breath, her stance squared, her shoulders unyielding. She orders him again. Look at me, listen to me. She tells him his choices are narrowing. He thinks he has power, but she frames it like a field engagement to paths extraction or elimination. His chest heaves, the barrel dips for half a second. The boy hides behind her leg. Sarah's hands spread slightly protective yet ready, her heart beats steady. Like it once was under fire, she studies the robber's eyes, calculating, reading his tremor the same way she once judged enemy fighters by the twitch of their trigger fingers. She sees desperation, not resolve, his hand not trained, his nerves. Crack. Scene flashes again to the valley firefight, night vision, green flaring as mortar rounds crashed into the ridgeline, dust choking her lungs. Men screaming commands over radio, overlapping chaos. Her sergeant shouting, hold the line, keep pressure west. Sector. She had felt the weight of fear pressing, but never let it surface. She carried the private on her back, muscles burning, rounds striking inches away, never slowing because the mission was survival. Now she brings that weight back, grounding herself in the moment, telling the robber quietly but firmly, lower the weapon, release. The tension she uses, her medic tone, the one she used on dying soldiers, half command, half lifeline, her eyes never blinking, the room holding its breath, the silence loud. Robber swallows the child. Whimpers again. Sarah crouches slightly so the boy feels shielded. She speaks with precision, drawing from training, every word a maneuver she recalls. The old rule, keep it simple, keep it calm, keep it human. She tells the robber that the boy has nothing he wants, but she can give him something more. His attention shifts, confusion growing. She edges the conversation into a standoff he does not realize. He is already losing. Her thoughts sharpen again, memory and present colliding. She remembers pulling the private into the helicopter rotors, whipping sand into the sky, medics grabbing him from her arms. She had collapsed on the ramp, exhausted, covered in blood, but the mission complete, the voice in her ear, radio crackling. Good work, Doc, good work. She had felt the relief, the moment when life overcame death because she refused to let go. That refusal stands now. The robber stares at her, breathing heavy. The gun twitching, then lowering an inch. She steps closer, slow, deliberate, never breaking eye contact. She knows one wrong twitch can end everything, but she also knows fear can be redirected. She tells him to think. Like a soldier under fire, that hesitation can be death, but also survival. She tells him it is his moment to live or fall. His grip falters, the barrel dips further, a sound outside the room, footsteps approaching, police, maybe, or another player. Sarah does not glance, her eyes locked like rifle sights. She gives one last order to the man, drop it now, her tone a battlefield command, absolute and final. The weight of her words fills the room. The boy clings tighter, Sarah's chest steady like a drumbeat of war. The robber breathes, ragged eyes flicking between her and the door, his finger twitching, and in that pause the air breaks, the sound of boots stomping closer, someone shouting, freeze, police. Sarah does not move, her focus fixed, the past and present blending like smoke and fire. The boy hidden, the robber cornered, her stance unshaken, the memory of Afghan dust still on her skin. She knows this is not over because hesitation never ends clean. As the shouts grow louder and the lights flash through the windows, Sarah's eyes narrow, not on the robber, not on the child, but on the door, because she feels it in her gut. This is only the beginning, and what comes through that door will test every scar she has carried since the war. Under the humming fluorescent lights, the air feels thick, the kind of heaviness that presses against the lungs and slows every thought. Brewer grips the edge of the counter, his knuckles pale. Jake stands, rigid, sweat rolling down his temple. Both men stare at the figure in front of them. A robber with a trembling pistol, raised chest, rising and falling too, fast eyes darting like a cornered animal. Sarah steps forward, slow, deliberate, her boots scuffing lightly across the floor. She feels the tremor in her chest, but she forces the air into measured draws, in through the nose, out through the mouth, tactical breathing. Steady, precise, she speaks, low voice, calm, almost soothing. Her words cut through the tension like a blade. You don't want to do this. Her tone controlled, her posture non-threatening but firm. The robber jerks the weapon side to side, lips twitching, teeth grinding, veins pulsing. In his neck he mutters something under his breath, too fast to catch. Sarah focuses on the rhythm of his hands, the twitch in his shoulders. Every detail becomes data to her trained eyes. She lifts her hand ever so slightly, scratching her wrist. A subtle signal Maria recognizes instantly. Maria shifts her weight closer to the side door, her body angled for a sudden move. Jake feels frozen, his knees weak, every instinct screaming to run, yet his pride anchors him. He hears his own heartbeat louder than the hum of the lights. Brewer tries to swallow, his throat dry, fear clawing at him. Sarah senses their paralysis. She knows one wrong flinch could end it all. She adjusts her stance slowly, letting her left foot slide half an inch, eyes never leaving The barrel of the gun, the robber barks louder, now Vane's swelling voice, cracked with desperation. Sarah keeps her tone level, softer than before, like coaxing a wild dog. Easy. Easy, we are listening. You have control here. Her words hang in the air, measured. Pauses, giving the man the illusion of power. She draws him into a rhythm, breathing slow, speaking slower, matching his frantic energy with calm that begins to bleed into the room. Maria shifts again, now close to the emergency exit. Her hand hovers near the latch. She glances back at Sarah just for a breath of a second. Sarah responds with a blink, calculated, deliberate. Maria steadies her nerves. She knows that at any moment the order could come and she must act with no hesitation. The robber takes a step closer. The muzzle shakes dangerously. Sarah feels the sting of sweat on her forehead dripping into her eye. She does not blink. She sees the robber as more than a threat. She sees the fear hidden under his rage, the panic of a man drowning. And clawing for air, she leans in just slightly, her voice dropping to a whisper, barely above the crackle of the buzzing light. You are scared, but you are not alone in this. J.K. feels something shift. The words do not erase the danger, but they soften the edges of it. The robber falters. His stance breaks for a heartbeat. Brewer catches the flicker and grips the counter tighter, ready though still unsure. Sarah notes the hesitation and presses the opening. She speaks again, lower, slower. If you squeeze that trigger, nothing will change for you, but if you lower it right now, you walk out with your life intact. Her hand remains open, palm visible, her stance like stone unshaken. The robber blinks, his breathing ragged, his finger twitches. Maria's hand tightens on the door handle. Jake wants to shout, but his throat locks. Brewer feels his pulse hammering like mortar fire. The moment stretches. Sarah holds it steady, her breathing the only constant sound besides the sharp inhale of the desperate man before her. The robber growls, shaking his head, eyes darting to the door. Sarah senses the breaking point. She edges one step closer, her boots silent, her presence calm. She knows this next breath decides everything, and then the sound of distant sirens creeps through the walls, faint but undeniable. Red and blue flashes bleed faintly through the dirty glass. The robber stiffens muscles, locking eyes wild. Sarah sees his instinct. She knows he will either run or fire. Maria waits for the signal. Jake braces. Brewer holds his breath. Sarah inhales deep, one last controlled draw. Her lips part, ready to deliver the one command that could either save them all or plunge the room into chaos. The sirens grow louder. The robber spins half toward the window, pistol jerking. Sarah's voice cuts through the tension like steel. Hold. The first shot cracks through the frozen food aisle, and the sound is sharper than the cold air spilling from the open freezers. It shatters the low ceiling lights and sprays glass across stacked boxes of frozen peas. Sarah feels the shock of it in her chest, the way live fire shakes bone, and she moves without thought, muscle memory from years in uniform. Her body reacting faster than fear. Hostages scream. One man drops to his knees, another clutches his child, and Sarah's eyes cut through the chaos, looking for angles, cover, exits. Her breath is shallow but steady, mind working like a battle map. One robber panics, weapon jerking in his hands like a live snake. He fires again, rounds tearing through cardboard displays, chips exploding like confetti. The air is heavy with smoke, and the metallic temps of gunpowder. She pushes the frightened family toward the end cap shelving, dragging a cart into place with her. Boot, every move precise, like she is back in training. Bounding movements, cover and move, she tells herself, hand signaling a teenager to crawl behind a cooler. The shelves become her barricades, tall steel frames, now life-saving walls. She presses her back to cold metal and feels the vibration of rounds striking inches from her head. Her eyes flick toward the robber's line of fire. She calculates distance, trajectory, where his muzzle swings. She keeps her weapon low, muzzle awareness drilled into her bones, never endanger civilians. Her grip tightens, sweat slick on her palms, heart pounding like war drums. Another robber yells to his partner, voice cracking, fear lacing his words. They are losing control, and they know it. Sarah hears police sirens outside, closer, louder. The robbers grow desperate. One starts shouting threats at the hostages, his finger white on the trigger. Sarah knows panic is deadlier than calm intent. She whispers, stay down, to the nearest hostage, and then moves again. Bounding from cover to cover, her knees brush icy tiles. She keeps her silhouette small, discipline, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. She thinks of Jake mocking her job months ago, laughing that she spent her days stacking cans of beans. Now those same cans are weapons. The robber closest to her sweeps his weapon across the aisle, searching for movement. Sarah times it heartbeat by heartbeat. She grips a heavy can from the bottom shelf, the label cold and slick in her hand. She waits for his eyes to shift. Half a second of distraction is all she needs. She hurls the can, it arcs fast and brutal, strikes his temple with a dull crack. His weapon jerks upward, and a burst of rounds tears into the ceiling. Sprinklers explode, rain cascading across frozen food packages, smoke mixing with water, turning the aisle into steam-filled chaos. He staggers, dazed. Sarah closes distance fast, her training flawless. She wrenches the rifle from his hands, drives her knee into his chest, and pins him against the freezer door, the cold metal, and his wheezing breath loud in her ear. The second robber screams, firing wildly. His rounds slam into shelves, sparks Flying off steel frames, Sarah rolls behind a freezer door, dragging the disarmed weapon with her. The hostages cry out, but stay low exactly where she positioned them. She feels the sting of glass cuts on her arms. Small rivers of warmth under the spray of sprinkler water. She ignores pain. She focuses only on angles cover the robber shouts again, voice breaking fear. Taking over, she catches his reflection in the freezer glass distorted by droplets, his finger trembling on the trigger, his chest rising fast and shallow. He is no longer a threat of control. He is a threat of collapse. Outside, police radios crackle, commands barked, officers positioning perimeters. A loudspeaker warns, drop your weapons, come out now. Sarah knows pressure is mounting. The robber knows it too. He starts to back toward the front of the store. Eyes darting, weapon jerking towards civilians. Sarah steadies her breath, muscles tense, coiled. Ready? Her mind flashes back to desert patrol. Bounding across alleys under sniper fire, she remembers. The mantra, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. She lowers the stolen rifle, sets it aside. Her own sidearm is still secure, but this close, she wants control, not just firepower. She whispers, stay put, to the nearest hostage again. Her voice calm and firm. She feels their trust like a weight. The robber yells, I will kill them all. His voice cracks halfway through his threat. Sarah sees it, the weakness, the fracture. He does not believe his own words. She steps from cover, slow, deliberate, hands raised just enough to bait his eyes. His weapon swings toward her, and in that instant she strikes another can, ripped from the soaked shelf, slams into his forearm. The weapon jolts sideways round, detonates. A frozen glass door shatters, ice mist explodes into the air. Sarah charges closing distance before he recovers. Her shoulder drives into his chest. They crash into the slick tiles, weapon skidding away. His fists flail, wild, untrained. She traps his arm, torquing until bone pops, his scream drowned by the blaring alarm and sprinkler rain. Hostages stare, wide-eyed, unable to process the sudden turn. The sound of police breaching doors echoes through the store boots. Pounding radios, barking, clear, clear. Sarah keeps her knee on the robber's spine, presses his face to the cold, wet floor. Her breath harsh in her chest. The chaos fades to ringing silence, broken only by the groan of the subdued man. She glances at the first robber, still slumped against the freezer, barely conscious. Both threats neutralized without a single civilian hit. The sirens outside still scream, red and blue light flickering across water-streaked glass. Sarah feels the weight of adrenaline leaving her muscles trembling, but her eyes stay sharp because she knows it is not over, not yet. Officers pour in, weapons raised, shouts overlapping. One yells, down, down. Another screams, show hands. Sarah raises her arms. Slow, controlled voice, steady, friendly, she says. 2 suspects secured, hostages unharmed. Her words cut through noise like command. Presence. The nearest sergeant recognizes the stance, the calm the soldiers bearing. Hold fire, he orders, lowering his weapon. Confusion flickers across younger officers' faces, but they follow protocol. Sarah's gaze shifts back, toward the shattered aisle, her thoughts already moving past the moment. She wonders if more are waiting outside, if this chaos is only the first ripple of something bigger. The smell of gunpowder and freezer burn mixes in the humid air, water dripping off steel shelves. Pooling at her knees, the hostages begin to sob, relief breaking them open. Sarah feels their gratitude like heat against her skin, but she does not relax. Not yet. She scans every angle, every shadow, every flicker of movement, and in the hollow ringing silence, she senses it. This was too sloppy, too reckless. These men were not leaders, they were pawns, and somewhere beyond the flashing lights, another hand is pulling the string. As the sergeant leans down, demanding her name, demanding her explanation, Sarah locks eyes with him and simply says, not here, not yet, because she knows the fight inside. The frozen food aisle was only the beginning, and what comes next will be far worse than anyone in this room can imagine. The store air is thick with silence, broken only by the shallow breaths of frightened customers crouched between aisles, fluorescent lights humming overhead shelves, rattling faintly as a robber shifts his stance, his pistol jerking in the trembling grip of his hand. Jake stands frozen, palms raised, eyes locked on Sarah, who kneels beside the counter, her movements deliberate, calm, her heart hammering against her ribs. Yet her face a mask of steel. She adjusts to rise, but the robber closest snarls a warning, voice cracked with nerves. Stay down, lady. Her fingers graze her collar, the chain slips free, a dull bronze star, catching the harsh light it swings forward, dangling in the air. Every eye turns, the metal glows like fire against the sterile store glare. The robbers hesitate, their bravado falters, and for a heartbeat the noise of the world disappears. Jake whispers, barely audible, but sharp enough to cut the air. Wait, you're a war hero. Sarah breathes. Steady memories slam into her mind, sand, grit, heat, choppers cutting across desert skies, gunfire screaming through night, radios crackling orders. Blood and survival. Her throat tightens, but her gaze never wavers. She stands fluid, smooth, shoulders squared, her voice low, controlled, but it cuts like command. Drop your weapons now. Taller robber curses his grip, faltering. His partner glances sideways, confusion slicing through his mask of bravado. Customers hold their breath, fear suspended in the charged moment. Jake feels sweat sting his brow, his muscles coil, instinct screams to act, but he is frozen between awe and disbeliefs. Sarah sees the hesitation. She moves lightning fast, training dictating every motion. Her boot kicks the nearest pistol free before the man can react. Her elbow snaps back into his ribs. A cry bursts from him as he crumples to his knees. She pivots the metal, swinging like a pendulum across her chest. A reminder of battles won under harder fire. The second robber jerks his weapon up, finger twitching on the trigger. Sarah surges forward, tackling him against a display rack, metal clattering, cereal boxes spilling, the muzzle points skyward. A deafening crack echoes, the bullet shattering ceiling tiles, dust raining down. Screams rise from hiding customers. Jake ducks his ears, ringing. Sarah drives her knee into the robber's thigh. The gun clatters across linoleum, spinning away. His breath explodes from his chest as she slams him down, pinning his wrist with ruthless precision. Without killing, without breaking more than necessary, her voice cuts. Again, cold, decisive, weapons away. Now the first robber, wheezing on the floor, sees his partner subdued. Fear breaks through his mask of anger, his hands rise shaking, surrender spilling from his lips. Don't shoot, please, Jake. Finally exhales, chest heaving, adrenaline surging. He stares at Sarah, not as the quiet woman he thought he knew, but as a soldier forged in fire. Her eyes scan the room. Tactical, deliberate, she checks corners, she checks exits, she checks exits, she checks every variable like the battlefield never left her. The store is silent, except for the moans of the pinned robber and the hum of broken ceiling lights. Police sirens wail faint and rising outside. Glass vibrates with the approach, blue lights flashing against the storefront. Sarah still holds the robber down, one knee pressed firmly, his breathing ragged. She does not move until the first officer bursts in rifle-shouldered voice. Booming hands, visible now. Sarah releases the man, slowly raising her own hands, stepping back, the metal still swinging, catching light like a shard of memory. The officers rush forward, shouting commands. Customers pour out of aisles, crying, shaking, relief and disbelief tangled together. Jake moves to her side, words trembling on his lips but failing to escape. He looks at her, the woman who just neutralized armed robbers without a bullet fired into flesh, the woman whose metal glowed like sunlight piercing the dark. He finally whispers again, but louder this time. Sarah, what else have you been hiding? Her jaw clenches, her mind drifts back to fields of fire. Comrades lost the reason. The metal rests heavy around her neck. Her silence is louder than any answer. The officers cuff the robbers, hauling them away, radios crackling with code and confirmation. But Sarah remains still, standing in the center of the wrecked store, her presence a storm that has just passed. Jake cannot stop staring. He feels pride, awe, confusion, and something deeper, knowing, a realization that the woman before him carries scars, not visible but carved into her very being. She meets his gaze briefly, then looks away as if the past is not finished speaking. The metal gleams one last time before she tucks it back beneath her collar, hiding it again, but its memory burns in every witness. Hearts outside, the sirens fade. The world keeps moving, but inside this moment hangs like a question unanswered, because Sarah has not yet told the whole story, and Jake knows tonight is only the beginning. Under the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, the air is thick with tension. Boots slam against the concrete floor, doors burst open, and the commanding shout of police fills the room. Suspects freeze, hands raised, eyes wide as the barrels of rifles lock onto them. The clatter of handcuffs echoes, sharp and final, like steel closing on the last chapter of a long nightmare. Jake stands against the wall, chest heaving, his hands trembling, his eyes darting between the chaos and the faces of the men who once held power over him, now silent, now broken. Brewer cannot find words. His lips part, then close again, his pride crushed under the weight of truth. His voice, once sharp and commanding, now nothing but silence. He looks at Jake with a hollow gaze, as if searching for the right excuse. But there is none. The truth strips him bare. And for the first time in years, Jake sees the man who mocked him, who doubted him, reduced enough to Miria. Pushes through the crowd, her breath shaking, her heart pounding. She pulls Sarah into her arms, clutching her like she will never let go again. Tears spill as she whispers into her daughter's ear, "Thank you, Sergeant." The words tremble against the heavy air, yet they strike with the force of a salute. Sharp, unshakable. Jake blinks, hearing the title once more, but this time not as an echo of a past he thought forgotten. This time it is recognition, respect earned, not demanded. The bronze star rests on his chest, catching the light as the officers move the suspects out. One by one it glimmers, steady under the fluorescent glow, not just metal, not just ribbon, but a symbol of years, carried in silence. Pain borne without complaint, and sacrifices never spoken aloud. Jake feels the weight of it press against him, warm, alive, reminding him that every scar, every sleepless night, every moment he was called less than, was always leading here. The sound of radios crackle, static mixed with sharp orders. Units confirmed, all clear, weapons secured, perimeter locked. Jake exhales for the first time in what feels like hours, the tension leaving his body like water draining from stone. He looks down at his calloused hands, scarred and worn from battles fought in deserts and alleys across the world, and now here on home soil he feels them steady. For the first time, Brewer shifts uncomfortably, his shoulders slumped, his breath shallow. He wants to speak, but the words choke at the back of his throat. Jake sees the struggle, the man who doubted him, swallowed by shame, silence louder than any confession. Brewer lowers his gaze, and it is there, in that moment, Jake understands that no victory speech is needed. Respect has already been won. Maria holds Sarah tighter, her tears falling freely. Sarah's small voice whispers back, "Mom, he saved us. He saved." Everyone. The words pierce Jake's chest like a metal he never expected to wear, heavier than bronze, brighter than ribbon. He swallows hard, his throat dry, his chest aching, but he says nothing. Silence is enough. The officers move swiftly. Suspects pressed against walls, searched, and let out. The scrape of boots against tile, the rustle of gear, the snap of radios all blend into a steady rhythm. The rhythm of justice being carried out. Brewer stares at the floor, avoiding every eye around him, while Jake stands steady, shoulders squared like a soldier before inspection. One officer pauses near him, eyes catching the glint of the metal. "Sir, you served." His tone respectful. Jake nods, only once, brief, precise, no words wasted. The officer holds his gaze for a beat longer before moving on, but the acknowledgement lingers, hanging heavy and powerful in the air. Sarah's eyes shine as she looks up at Jake, her small hand reaching timidly toward the metal. Her fingers hover just above it, as if touching it would burn. She whispers, soft, barely a breath, "Is it heavy?" Jake lowers his head, voice low, steady, "Only as heavy as the man who carries it." Sarah nods, though she does not fully understand the truth in his words. Her smile small but filled with a new trust. The fluorescent light hums above the room. Now still, now controlled, the chaos fading into order. Brewer is led away, still silent. Maria clings to Sarah. Jake stands alone, yet not alone anymore. The weight of silence replaced by the sound of gratitude, the stillness of shame replaced by the shimmer of respect. But beneath it all, deep in the corners of the room where shadows linger, Jake feels something stir, a question not yet answered, a battle not yet finished. The bronze star gleams, but its light feels like the beginning, not the end. His mind flashes to the nights overseas, to the brothers he lost, to the promises he made, and he wonders if this moment is closure, or the first step toward a truth still buried. The police file out, suspects in tow. Radios crackle, fade, then silence returns, thick and heavy, the kind of silence that hides more than it reveals. Jake breathes deep, the weight of the metal pressing steady against his chest. He knows tonight respect has been earned, but in the shadows of his thoughts, he also knows respect is only the beginning, and the war for truth may not be over. The morning light filters through the sliding doors, casting long reflections across the polished tiles of the grocery store. The air carries the faint scent of baked bread and fresh produce, but beneath it a quiet anticipation hums like electricity. Sarah adjusts her name tag, her hands steady, her chest calm, but her mind alert, every movement measured, every breath deliberate. She steps behind the register, and the familiar click of the scanner feels heavier. Today customers begin to trickle in, their eyes catching hers. A flicker of recognition passes across their faces, whispers of yesterday's chaos still lingering in their minds. Some nod politely, others pause longer than necessary, their expressions softening from indifference to curiosity, respect building like an invisible current around her. She smiles slightly, her lips tight, her posture relaxed, but her senses alert, ready to respond if the unexpected emerges. Jake approaches awkwardly, his steps hesitant, the memory of fear and humiliation etched across his face. He opens his mouth, words stuttering, caught between apology and disbelief. Finally he mutters, "I'm sorry for yesterday," his tone uneven and raw. Sarah tilts her head, studying him, the lines of tension in his jaw, the way his hands fidget. He is vulnerable and unguarded, and for a moment she sees not the bully but the frightened boy behind the bravado. She nods, simply acknowledging the effort without needing further explanation. Brewer lingers near the office doorway, his usual smirk tempered by uncertainty, his posture stiff, his pride bruised yet intact. He clears his throat and offers a promotion to Sarah, his voice firm but cautious. She watches him carefully, the offer generous, the intent clear, but she feels no need to claim what was already earned in courage, in action, in moments that had nothing to do with titles or pay. She shakes her head politely, her humility unwavering, her gaze steady, conveying silently that the greatest reward is not in recognition but in the quiet knowledge of a job well done. The bronze star glints faintly beneath her collar, a subtle reminder of battles fought and survived, of courage displayed when no one was watching. She adjusts her uniform carefully, aware of the weight of the metal, both physical and symbolic. Every customer who glances her way now sees it, a shining testament of valor, invisible yesterday, now undeniable today. A quiet pride radiates from her posture, steady, confident, controlled, yet approachable. Maria appears beside her, a gentle presence in the hum of fluorescent lights. She leans slightly forward and whispers, "Thank you, Sergeant," her voice warm, her eyes glistening. Sarah responds with a soft smile, a nod of understanding, between two women connected by respect and empathy. The world outside may never know the full extent of her service, but in this moment, those who matter understand fully the depth of her courage. The scanner beeps rhythmically, items pass over the counter, the mundane routine, grounding the chaos of the past into the present. The rhythmic sound like a heartbeat, steadying the tempo of life. Resuming, yet the tension of vigilance never fully dissipates. Sarah's eyes scan the aisles, subtly noting movements, body language, positioning, every detail recorded in the back of her mind. A silent readiness honed over years of training and battlefield instinct, the ordinary transformed into an arena of awareness. Customers engage politely, some share small smiles, some nod in recognition, some whisper to companions. The shift In atmosphere palpable, the fear and chaos of the previous day replaced with a quiet admiration. Invisible, yet tangible, like the hum of electricity before a storm, Sarah moves. With purpose, hands scanning items, greeting familiar faces, voice calm, measured, her presence commanding attention without a word. Her authority, silent, confident, and respected. Jake hovers awkwardly nearby, his gaze downcast, occasionally meeting hers. With fleeting acknowledgement, his posture tense, his pride wrestled into submission. He shifts weight from one foot to another, unsure how to navigate the aftermath of confrontation and revelation. Sarah maintains the same composed expression, a subtle mixture of empathy and firmness, reinforcing silently that actions speak louder than words, humility stronger than arrogance, and courage unquestionable. Brewer's offer hangs in the air, a temptation of advancement and authority, yet Sarah's choice, clear and deliberate, her refusal communicates a deeper understanding of value, integrity, and service. The promotion, a superficial reward compared to the respect earned through steadfast action. In moments of danger, she meets his gaze briefly, her eyes steady, her silence louder than any words, conveying the unspoken truth of earned recognition and moral clarity. The flow of customers continues each interaction, subtle shifts of energy, awareness of her presence, respect conveyed in small gestures. Nods, smiles, brief exchanges, her bronze star catching light with every turn, her posture remaining vigilant yet approachable. She navigates the line expertly, every movement deliberate, every glance calculated, reinforcing the quiet heroism of one who served when no one expected and survives with dignity and humility. Maria stays close, offering small supportive gestures, a hand to steady a fallen item, a reassuring glance to a nervous customer. The partnership, silent yet effective, a reflection of the camaraderie and respect formed through shared understanding and observation of character. Beyond uniform, beyond title, each small gesture reinforcing Sarah's command of presence and influence without need for authorities. Sarah's thoughts drift briefly to the chaos of yesterday, the terror, the adrenaline, the fear in the eyes of those around her, and the weight of responsibility she carried silently through each threat, each decision measured and deliberate, every movement grounded in training and instinct, every heartbeat synchronized to the protection of others. The echoes of battlefield discipline resonating through the ordinary setting of a grocery store, reminding her that heroism is often unnoticed and humility is the final victory. The scanner beeps on each transaction. Customers continue to file past the line, their demeanor transformed, subtle yet undeniable. Acknowledgement of her courage, a quiet understanding of what was risked and what was endured, visible in fleeting glances, in brief nods, in whispers of admiration. Jake watches from the periphery, wrestling internally with the truth of her valor. Brewer lingers with uncertainty, tempered by respect, and Maria remains steadfast beside her, a silent witness to the heroics that went unseen and yet were indelibly etched into the fabric of their perceptions. The day unfolds, the ordinary rhythms of checkout continue, the undercurrent of extraordinary events lingering beneath the surface. Every beep, every word, every glance carries the weight of recognition earned, not demanded. The bronze star, glinting in sunlight filtered through the storefront windows, a reminder of sacrifice, valor, and humility, a quiet testimony to a hero nobody saw coming, and yet whose presence changed everything for those who finally understood the depth of courage in the simplest of settings. And as Sarah straightens her uniform, adjusts her name tag, and scans the next item, the question remains unspoken, hovering in the minds of all who witness her calm command. What will she do next, and what other quiet heroics lie waiting beneath the surface, ready to emerge when circumstances demand it, leaving everyone in the store with the sense that the story of this hero is far from over, and that the true measure of courage is often hidden until the moment it must shine.